Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something really cool. We're diving deep into some fascinating ancient texts to uncover the undeniable physical science and acoustic physics operating right behind traditional mantras. You know, we so often just write off these practices as purely spiritual or mystical. But as we're about to discover, there is actually a profound, highly structured science of sound at play here. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the physical power of sound, then look at mantras as sonic science. After that, we'll break down the 4 powers of mantras, discuss the practitioner's discipline, and finally wrap up with fire as the ultimate catalyst. All right, Section 1, the physical power of sound. To really wrap our heads around these ancient concepts, we first need to look at the tangible reality of acoustic energy right here in our everyday physical world. Now, we usually experience sound as something purely auditory, right? A song on the radio, a voice, maybe just a random noise. But I want you to ask yourself a question. Does sound actually have the physical mass and energy required to destroy or manipulate solid objects? Well, science says absolutely yes. Think about it. We know soldiers actually have to break their marching step when crossing a bridge. Why? Because a unified, rhythmic frequency can literally collapse the whole structure. And we've all seen those videos of a precise high-pitched sound wave shattering a wine glass. Actually, the source text even notes something pretty incredible. Certain medium tones can cause the massive stone ruins of Stonehenge to tremble. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. It completely proves that sound is a highly destructive and malleable physical force. Building right on that idea of physical energy, these ancient texts draw a really beautiful comparison. I want you to think of yourself, the individual, as a tiny seed. A microcosm. Now picture the entire universe as a fully grown, massive tree, the macrocosm. The idea here is that they are deeply, inextricably intertwined. You, the tiny seed, actually hold the exact same universal energy and the full potential of that massive tree completely within you. Okay, so how does that seed actually grow? Well, the text introduced this fascinating concept called paravak, which translates to the supreme sound or cosmic breath. Think of your individual potential like a small, flat balloon. Paravag is the vibrational force that pumps into it, inflating it to a massive cosmic scale. It's almost like a tiny driver suddenly jumping in and taking full control of a massive, roaring engine. Moving on to Section 2, mantras as sonic science. This fundamental understanding of supreme sound actually brings us to a pretty radical redefinition of what a mantra really is. According to the ancient sage Kauts Muni, mantras belong to a strict applied science of vibrations known as Vwani Shastra. And here is the truly mind-blowing part. A mantra's power lies strictly in its precise acoustic vibration. Kauts Muni actually argued that their literal dictionary definitions, they're practically irrelevant. It's all about the kinetic energy of the sound flow. What the word translates to doesn't really matter at all. And this perfectly explains what are known as bija, or seed mantras. We're talking about syllables like hreem, shreem, kleem, and aim. These sounds literally don't have standard conversational definitions. You are never going to find them used in a normal, everyday sentence. Instead, their entire purpose is to act almost like acoustic tuning forks. They are purely vibrational tools, specifically engineered to generate a highly specific physical resonance. This brings us to Section 3, the 4 powers of mantras. So if these mantras really are these finely tuned vibrational tools, how exactly do they manipulate energies so effectively in our physical world? Well, the source material systematically breaks down the mechanics of this acoustic energy into 4 specific powers, which they call Shaktis. They are Pramanya, Phalapradhan, Bahulikaran, and Ayatiyamata. Let's dive in and explore exactly how each one of these functions in practice. The first one is Pramanya Shakti, which is basically the directive intent. Think about it. When you emit a sound wave, it needs a target, right? It's exactly like aiming an arrow before you shoot it. Pramanya is that power of instruction. It's what guides the acoustic energy precisely toward its specific purpose, connecting the spoken vibration directly to its intended subtle target. Next up is Phalapradhan Shakti, which translates to the yielding power. This is the mechanism that takes that dormant energy of the sound and awakens it to actually produce a result in reality. But, and this is a big but mentioned in the texts, this power is only activated when paired with strict behavioral discipline. We're talking specific diets,
absolute mental focus, and dedicated rituals. Just blasting raw sound simply isn't enough. It absolutely requires a highly disciplined human vessel. Then we have the third power, Balu Korana, which is all about massive explosive amplification. The source text used two incredible metaphors here that I just love. They say it's like a single drop of poison spreading rapidly through the entire human body, or like a tiny, seemingly insignificant spark from a matchstick that suddenly explodes into an unstoppable forest fire. A super small vibrational input from a single practitioner gets amplified to impact the entire surrounding environment. It's a real force multiplier.
Finally, we get to Ayata Yamanai Shakti. This is the contextual power. It's the unique force generated when specific experts use precise tools in the exact right environment. Ancient masters, like Vishwamitra and Parshuram, used mantras under highly specialized conditions to achieve targeted outcomes that a regular person simply couldn't replicate. And that's no matter how perfectly that regular person pronounced the words. Context is everything here. All right, section 4, the practitioner's discipline. All of this mechanics talk brings us to a vital, undeniable realization. This highly intricate science of sound is completely useless and, honestly, potentially even dangerous without strict human control and the proper operating conditions. To really highlight this, the texts recount a pretty gripping story from the Mahabharata. Both Arjun and Ashwatthama unleashed these devastating mantra-driven acoustic weapons. But when it came time to retract the energy, only Arjun succeeded. Why? Well, because Arjun maintained intense personal discipline and restraint, a concept known as brahmacharya. Ashwatthama, on the other hand, lacked this internal discipline, and his total failure to control the vibrational energy led to absolute catastrophe. We actually see this exact same theme again in an ancient debate between two practitioners, Vrimith and Yurchapep. Vrimith was technically perfect. He had the exact flawless pronunciation. But Yurchapep, he had total energetic focus and soulful resonance. His mastery of the sound wave was so unbelievably profound that his chanting actually manifested physical fire straight out of wet wood. It proved, once and for all, that simply reciting words means absolutely nothing if you haven't internalized the very soul of the vibration. And that brings us to section 5, fire, the ultimate catalyst. That manifestation of physical fire we just talked about perfectly bridges us to our final and perhaps most crucial component in the ancient science of mantras. I mean, just think about our modern world for a second. We know that fire, or Agni, is literally the ultimate engine of human progress. From the massive steam trains of the Industrial Revolution to our modern factories and daily electricity generation, fire is the supreme, transformative physical energy source. It is the core thing that converts raw potential into actual physical action. Because of this raw physical power, the texts heavily emphasize that fire is almost universally paired with mantra practice. Whether it's through a continuous ritual fire, which is known as a yagna, or, honestly, just simply lighting a small lamp, Agni acts as the ultimate energetic amplifier. It provides that necessary worldly catalyst for those subtle acoustic vibrations to take physical effect and actually complete their transformative work. Which brings us to the end of our explainer, and it leaves us with a truly fascinating, almost haunting question to ponder. We are just now, right here in our modern era, mapping the incredible destructive and generative capabilities of acoustic resonance and frequency. If ancient civilizations already understood and literally weaponized this intersection of acoustic physics and energy manipulation, well, what other profound scientific foresight did they possess that we are just sitting around waiting to rediscover? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the science of sound.